Hey guys, Faceless Cat here again. Sorry I didn't get a chance to go live tonight. But yesterday I came across this article on Sky News and I really wanted to share this with you. Obviously, they keep going at this with Christian Bruckner and Madeleine McCann. And this is an article which was published by Martin Brandt. Remember Martin Brandt? Yes, so the article says plot to kidnap child hatched a week before Madeleine McCann disappeared. Expat Ken Ralphs said that Christian B., the German drifter suspected of abducting Madeleine, tried to recruit a mutual friend to help find the youngster to sell to a childless couple. And after I finish reading this article, I am going to play the video for you, this video here. Mr. Ralphs, a former UK political campaigner, said Christian Bruckner made the offer to the man who was penniless and living in a tent in a remote part of the Algarve coast. Mr. Ralphs, 59, said, "We were sitting around the fire one night after a meal. We had a few beers, and during the early hours of the morning, my friend began to cry. I asked him what the matter was, and eventually he confessed to me he was getting involved with Christian to steal a child from Praia da Luz from a rich family." Okay, I can't really stop myself from laughing here. This was my first reaction when I read the article yesterday as well. So Mr. Ralphs is saying that they were sitting around the fire one night after they had a meal, they drank a few beers, and during the early hours of the morning, his friend began to cry because Christian wanted him to get involved with Christian in a plan to steal a child. So, why would this friend be crying? That's my question. Why would he be crying? And then he also said that Christian planned to steal a child from Praia da Luz from a rich family. And this is something to keep in mind because this will make a bit more sense later on. Moving on, Mr. Ralphs, Christian, and their mutual friend, a foreigner who cannot be named for legal reasons, were all part of a nomadic Bohemian community living for different reasons off grid in isolated spots in southwest Portugal. After a short drive off road, Mr. Ralphs took me along a track to a clearing in the woods about 20 miles from Praia da Luz, the beachside village from where Madeleine disappeared in May 2007. "It's fenced off now, probably privately owned," explained Mr. Ralphs, as we stood in the shadow of several towering eucalyptus trees. "But 17 years ago, my friend and his family were living in a teepee here, and me and my wife used to bring them food. Christian knew the guy was vulnerable and wanted to travel abroad, but he couldn't leave because he couldn't afford the air tickets. Mr. Ralph said he told his friend not to get involved in the plot and offered to help him financially when he returned from a trip he was about to make to the UK. Again, the same question runs through my mind. Why would this friend be crying? Why? I don't get it. I said, you can't get involved in kidnapping a person for ransom. That's ridiculous. Then he explained, no, it's not like that. Christian had a customer, a buyer lined up, a German couple who couldn't have children. A week later, Mr. Ralphs was back in the UK when he heard the news that Madeleine, aged 3, had vanished without a trace from her family's rented holiday apartment. He told me that within 3 hours he had driven from his father's home to a police station in Workington, Cumbria, and reported what he knew. I said to the police, here is the secret map of how you get to this point in the woods here. I said that must be sent immediately to the Portuguese police. On his return to the Algarve, he went to his local police station and repeated his story, but said he was told Portuguese detectives knew nothing about it. He found his friend had disappeared, his tipi tent burned, and there was no sign of Christian B. He never saw either of them again. Mr. Ralphs added, the GNR, the local police, asked me, have you made your statement to the British police? I said, yeah. And they said, well, don't worry, go home. If they need to contact you, they will. And of course, over the years, nobody contacted me. In 2020, when Christian B was publicly identified as the Madeleine suspect, Mr. Ralphs recognized him from media photographs and again contacted the police. Mr. Ralphs was interviewed by Portuguese detectives, though he still doesn't know what part his evidence has played in the investigation. He said, "They told me someone had made contact with my friend abroad and he had denied knowing me, but I have a dozen witnesses who will say that he's lying. I guess he just didn't want to be interviewed by police." Do you find this story a bit hard to believe? Because there was a point when they were having a couple of beers, like 17 years ago, a meal, a barbecue outside, whatever, and his friend cried to him about what Christian B has told him, that he planned to kidnap a child, and now Mr. Ralphs is saying that when he was questioned by Portuguese detectives, he said that he doesn't know Mr. Ralphs. I don't know. It's just something iffy here, right? I find it a bit fishy. Mr. Ralphs has had contact with Scotland Yard detectives and late last year sent a detailed statement to the German prosecutor now leading the Madeleine investigation. The prosecutor, Hans Christian Walters, told Sky News he had passed the statement to German investigators. Okay, I have a question here. Since when is the German prosecutor leading the Madeleine McCann investigation? Since when? This is a very legitimate question because Madeleine McCann did not disappear from Germany, so the German prosecution, they shouldn't really have any kind of deal with, I mean, any kind of reason to lead the Madeleine investigation. The Portuguese police should have done that, or they should do that, not the German police, not the German prosecutors. Why? Why? I mean, it just doesn't make sense, does it? Because usually the leading agencies in investigating an abduction or a murder or whatever else, it's normally the country where that happened, right? The Germans, they don't have all the information, so how can they even say that they are leading the Madeleine investigation? But there are so many fishy smelly things here, so I'm just gonna carry on. Christian B. Again, this is very funny. Christian B, who cannot be fully identified under German privacy laws, is still the main suspect in Madeleine's disappearance, but has not been charged. He denies any involvement. Okay, guys, did you just hear what this article says? Christian B, who cannot be fully identified under German privacy laws. Yet Christian Bruckner, we all know who he is. His name and his photo has been plastered all over the media, everywhere in the world, and on social media and everywhere. Yet, under the German privacy laws, he cannot be fully identified. How does that work? Because he's been identified already. Everybody knows who he is. Everybody knows that Christian B is Christian Bruckner. Everybody has seen his photo, and even his cell photos, they've been shared in the media. So gosh, there are 10,000, 100,000 things wrong in this article. Seriously, they are. It's just, to me, from my point of view, this is just ridiculous. So moving on, Christian B is currently serving a 7-year sentence in a German prison for the rape of an elderly American woman, a crime he committed in Praia Luz in 2005. Again, we know that this is just alleged. This is just an allegation. It hasn't been proven. It seems that the lady was examined medically, and it was actually concluded that she was not raped. So I don't know why they keep going with this narrative. I have no idea, but I think we all know, actually, just to give more credibility to the fact that Christian Bruckner is a rapist, and so definitely he's the one who abducted Madeleine McCann. Mr. Ralphs said that he knew Christian in the months before Madeleine vanished because they both used to park their camper vans on Barranco Beach at the end of a long, rocky trek. Mr. Ralphs and his wife had left the UK when police mistakenly exposed him after he had passed on information about a gangland murder. Okay, Let me read this again. Mr. Ralphs and his wife, they left the UK because the police mistakenly exposed him after he passed on information about a gangland murder. So Mr. Ralph successfully sued Greater Manchester Police, pulled out of a witness protection plan, and disappeared into an itinerant life in Portugal. And am I to assume correctly that Mr. Ralphs is now back in the UK? And not only that he's back in the UK, he is also saying that he pulled out of a witness protection plan and disappeared in Portugal. Okay, so if he was exposed because he passed on information about a gangland murder, then my question again is why would he now make himself known in the media and make himself known as exactly who he is, the person being exposed after he passed on information about the gangland murder. Not only that, but also he was supposed to be in the witness protection and he pulled out of the witness protection plan and then he disappeared in Portugal. So here, this kind of goes against every bit of protection or that you should have if you have been exposed about the gangland murder, right? We know his name, we know how he looks like, Mr. Ralphs. We also know that they left the UK, him and his wife, and they disappeared in Portugal. We know exactly where they disappeared. If it would be so secret and so dangerous, then is it not probable that the country they fled to would not be publicly named? I don't know. This is just my common sense, really. Okay, let's move on. When German police appealed for information about the then unnamed suspect in 2020, they released a photograph of Christian B's yellow and white camper van parked on Barranco Beach near its eastern cliffs. I think Christian took that picture to show his friends back in Germany. A tourist snap, Mr. Ralphs told me as we wandered the beach on a blowy January morning. He normally parked away from the sea in the bushes where he was hidden and could sell drugs, which was what he was known for. I showed Mr. Ralphs pictures of Christian B from those days and more recent police photos and asked if you are sure he was the same man. Of course, it's definitely him, he said. I remember him clearly. He was good looking, spoke very good English, and was polite, though not particularly friendly, a bit of a loner. Okay, I have another question here. Was it not mentioned kind of like everywhere in the press that Christian Bruckner, he didn't speak very good English and he also spoke with an accent? So now all of a sudden he speaks very good English or spoke? Some things don't make sense. Mr. Ralph's evidence of a plan to steal a child is backed up by Michael Tatchell, a good friend of Christian B in those days. Tatchell told author John Clark in his book My Search for Madeleine, Christian B, was always bragging about money and making money, particularly from burglaries. He even talked about selling kids, maybe to Morocco. And Scotland Yard detectives have always believed that, whatever her ultimate fate, Madeleine was abducted in a carefully planned operation. Sky News has approached Christian B's lawyer and Scotland Yard for comment. Okay, before we play the video that I wanted to play for you after reading this article, there are a couple more things which I want to point out. So, Scotland Yard detectives have always believed that whatever her ultimate fate, Madeleine was abducted in a carefully planned operation. Now, according to Mr. Ralphs, right, Christian Bruckner planned just a few days before Madeleine went missing to abduct a child from a rich family and give it to a couple who didn't have any children in Germany, right? That was what Mr. Ralphs said. Yet Scotland Yard detectives have always believed that Madeleine was abducted in a carefully planned operation. So don't these things kind of contradict themselves? Because Christian Bruckner, let's just say that we are to believe what Mr. Ralphs is saying, Christian Bruckner, a few days before Madeleine went missing, planned to abduct a child, right? Then a few days later, Madeleine is abducted. My questions are, how did Christian Bruckner, in a matter of just a few days, know about Madeleine McCann? How did he know that her parents are rich? How did he know that they will be there, right? How did he know that they will be going to the restaurant to have dinner in every evening? And how did Christian Bruckner know that the children are left alone so that he can take the opportunity to go and steal Madeleine McCann? Because it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense, because if he didn't know the parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, before they went on holiday, then it's just impossible for him to have all of this information and to carry out the plan so perfectly that he's not caught. And this would be in just a matter of few days. Guys, either I'm going crazy or this just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up at all. What do you guys think? And let me know in the comments below. And now I'm going to play the video for you of this Mr. Ralphs. Please remember that apparently he was exposed after he passed on information about a gangland murder, and he pulled out of a witness protection plan and then disappeared in Portugal. And now he's on video and in the media. Okay. Okay. Let me go back here and I'm going to play this from the beginning.
The teepee was around in here somewhere.
We're in a remote part of the Algarve, 20 miles from Praia da Luz. It's 17 years since Ken Ralphs visited the hidden tent where his friend lived.
It's private property now, it's owned by somebody.
It was the night his friend, who can't be named for legal reasons, told him about a plot to abduct a child.
We had a few beers, and then obviously during the early hours of the morning, he started to cry. Well, then he confessed to me he was getting involved with Christian to take a child from Praia da Luz from a rich family.
The Christian they were talking about, he said, was a German drifter and a man they both knew in the nomadic community. Christian B, as he's known, is the main suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, but he's not been charged over it.
I said, it's ridiculous, don't do this. What are you getting involved with people like this for? You can't kidnap a child and ask for a ransom, you'll end up going to jail. He said, it's not about a ransom, it's about selling the child to a German couple who couldn't have children.
A week later, Madeleine vanished. Mr. Ralphs was on a trip to England when he heard the news.
Some more breaking news for you this morning. We're just hearing that a search is underway for a 3-year-old British girl who's gone missing in the Algarve area of Portugal.
Mr. Ralphs says he contacted police in Cumbria.
They just said, to the police, look, you need to... Here's the secret map of how you get to this point here. And I said, that must be sent immediately to Portugal.
Mr. Ralphs put his evidence into a detailed statement and on his return to Portugal spoke to local police.
They said, have you made your statement to the police? I said, yeah. They said, well, don't worry, go home. If they need to contact you, they will. And of course, for endless years, nobody did contact me.
When Christian B was revealed as a suspect 4 years ago, Mr. Ralphs contacted police again.
You told the UK police in 2007. You told them again in 2020.
Yeah, I've sent my statement to the German prosecution.
And then what happened?
And then they've just sent it straight back to Scotland Yard.
So what's happened to...
They found him.
And did he back up your story?
Well, he said he doesn't know us. I have 12 independent witnesses that can prove he's lying.
It's difficult to know where Ken Ralph's evidence fits into the Madeleine McCann case. He certainly had several exchanges with Scotland Yard investigators, and the idea that there was a plan to steal a child is backed up by a friend of the suspect. Mikhail Tucher, once a close pal of Christian B, has said he talked about selling children to make money. And Scotland Yard detectives have always believed that whatever her ultimate fate, Madeleine was abducted in a carefully planned operation.
So yeah, what do you guys think? This was the video. I still find it unbelievable that Mr. Ralphs, considering that he actually left the UK because he was exposed for a gangland murder, exposed as in giving information about the gangland murder, and he left for Portugal. He is showing his face and his location, in the sense that close to Algarve. It says in the article here, you could see his face, his full name and everything. And I don't know. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let you guys let me know in the comments below what do you believe. But from my point of view, it's clear, like I said, that if Scotland Yard believes Madeleine was abducted in a carefully planned operation, it's almost, or if not impossible, for Christian Brugner to be able to plan everything and have all of the information in a matter of days. So yeah, this is what I think. So anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to this, and let me know your comment and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And also tomorrow I will be publishing a true crime and makeup video, so look out for those notifications. Bye.